almost died, but that's fine. Boom! So that's basically how it works. It's pretty crazy. You just join the maps and you instantly one-shot bosses. Hail and Mesh's Kingdom, welcome to POE2. I just finished my leveling for this awesome and extremely powerful shape-shifting druid in werewolf form. So yeah, I decided to go completely werewolf, and that's a leveling guide if you want to also play as extremely mobile and powerful creature. Well, let's start right from the get-go. Or to be more precise, from Act 1. In Act 1 I instantly crafted my first werewolf skill, and it's Lunar Assault. And honestly, it's most important part what you need to understand about werewolf. Werewolf is insanely powerful if you know how skills work and how to combine them together. If you don't, you will end with something like medium at best. But if you do everything right, that's how your fight will look like. At minimum. And when you upgrade your gear, that's when you become complete beast. So, Lunar Assault. You convert 80% of your physical damage to cold damage with insane magnitude of chill and freeze. This means your enemies will be slowed down a lot and also they will be frozen insanely fast. And that's our basic skill. So that's basically how you use it. And while leveling today on stream I got a few questions why I'm doing like loads of damage and why I'm having zero problems with mana, especially in Act 1. Basically, in first act, instead of using this as your main ability, you want to use it only to freeze your enemies. And the next skill you will create from gem will be Contagion. Yeah, Contagion just to help us clearing enemies in Act 1. Our basic fight is dropping Contagion, then freezing enemy, and then we will use our basic attack. Yes, everyone in POE2 forgetting about basic attack, but every form on Talisman comes with their own basic attack ability. So you need to make sure you're selecting your werewolf form on Talisman. And this will come with Shred. This attack uses no magic, so it's your basic attack, but it got pretty unique properties, and understanding how this attack works will give you insane amount of damage. So what is this attack? There's ton of attacks, but most important one is Payoff. Payoff means this attack won't be able to inflict freeze, because when you attack frozen enemies, you will create ice fragments. In these fragments is projectiles that land and explode after short delay. That's exactly how we deal loads of damage. So check damage of the Shred right now, and we will see that there is normal strikes, fast strikes, final strikes. They will have different amount of DPS, and it's around 10k DPS right now for me. But ice fragments will have 2.5k DPS at the same time. You may say, well, it's pretty low, but here's the deal. 2.5k is DPS of one ice fragment, and we will create insane amount of ice fragments. So that's basically how we melt bosses insanely easy and fast, and that's how we fight versus basic enemies. It's hard to see how they work, but I will manage to show you, or at least I will try. So let's find some enemies. Here's the enemy. We will try to freeze them. So that's the frozen enemy, and when we attack this enemy, look, here they are, ice fragments. So I made just one single attack, and one single attack created 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ice fragments. 6 ice fragments that will deal how much? Well, 10k DPS, something like this, 10k total damage. And when you're attacking with this Shred attack, you're actually doing insane amount of attacks every second. So the Shred looks like this. Pow, 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 pow. So that's basically what you're doing. It's pretty cool and fun. And every attack will create these ice fragments. Now imagine we will find boss, we will slow him down and freeze him and then attack him million times. Well, these fragments will just melt him. And you don't need even to imagine, just look at this bro. He is just waiting until he will be destroyed by ice fragments, and that's Act 1, basically early game when we got no other skills. Fast forward a little bit and we are fighting Arsenia. Yeah, she will be the next victim of our insane combination. Look, she is frozen in 3, 2, 1. And a little bit more. Okay, and now, pow. It's pretty slow right now because it's early game, but come on. That's basically how it looks like. We're just melting bosses. So it's pretty cool. It's our super basic combination, and that's basically how it works with support gems. For shred, we're just looking for attack speed right now when we're leveling. We want to attack as fast as possible. Therefore, it's rapid attacks. Crescendo is okay. You can use some other stuff. I used elemental ornament earlier, and elemental focus, also pretty good one. Again, that's kinda leveling version, and leveling version will work until level 80. That's where I will prepare endgame version, and I'm doing this right now, actually, when you're watching this video, so it will be up soon. And it's a lot more deadlier already. It just melts endgame, so don't worry. But Lunar Assault, again, it's pretty easy. We want Elemental Armament to deal more elemental damage. More elemental damage means we will deal more cold damage, and the more damage you deal, the better you freeze enemies. Still, when you get better weapon, you will probably mostly use only this for clearing basic monsters. So having something like Ice Bite is great, but also it's great against bosses. Our main combination is based around Lunar Assault and ability to freeze enemy. So when you freeze enemy with Lunar Assault, you will gain damage as cold damage with Ice Bite for 5 seconds, and that's enough to unleash our combination rotation. Last but not least, Embiter. You will gain damage as different kinds of damage by different sources, especially from passive skill tree, and with Embiter, Lunar Assault will always get more cold damage. Again, you want more cold damage and you want to freeze more. So that's the idea. The next skill you will unlock will be Pounce, but even before Pounce, there is another skill that is not in my panel right now. Frost Bomb. Frost Bomb is great. It will apply exposure to enemies, therefore you will deal more damage. I used it with potent exposure until mid of Act 2. So what happened in Act 2? In Act 2 happened my Ascendancy, and we picking Shaman Ascendancy for this build, and I use this increased elemental damage, since we're dealing elemental damage mostly, and turning of the seasons. We will gain 10% of damage as extra damage of random element, again, not for Lunar Assault, it's always cold damage. And enemies in our presence will have exposure. So from now on, technically we don't need exposure. You don't need to waste your slots, waste your time to shapeshift into human form to cast Frost Bomb and back to the wolf form, so basically that's it. This next part of Ascendancy is Defenses and Wisdom of the Magi. Basically we're getting protection, it's nice in campaign, especially closer to the end of campaign. And Benefit of the Bonded is pretty cool fun part. Basically now your runes in weapons will have extra stuff, and also in armors. So for armors it's extra life, and technically you can stack loads of extra life with this class. But for weapons it's also cool. You just drop ice and lightning runes inside your weapon, and you will have more freeze build-up, more shock magnitude, and stuff like that. For weapon, by the way, I suggest looking for powerful talismans with extra lightning damage. There's one with already kinda lightning damage tied into it. But no matter what, you want to upgrade your talisman every like 10 levels or so. So basically just upgrade it. Make sure you got like different elemental damage in it, and it will be great. The next item. No, next skill. So next skill you will unlock is Pounce. Pounce is, again, pretty weird skill. But Pounce will give us even more damage, even more crazy ability to completely obliterate bosses. But again, you need to understand how it works. So Pounce got even more attacks than all our previous skills, and it's just insane how many attacks we got. But coolest part, it's insanely easy to understand skill. All you do is Pounce. That's it. But at the same time, you apply Mark to an enemy, and this mark will be Predator's Mark. You actually can change it to any other mark by socketing other mark inside, but for campaign I just suggest keeping basic version of the skill. So whenever you kill enemy who is affected by Predator's Mark, you will summon Wolf, and Wolf will follow you. They kinda useless, we're not scaling them, so again they kinda useless for us in our build. I guess you can make them work. But that's the mark, we defeat enemy, that's the wolf, and wolf will attack random enemies around. He's not super healthy, but that's basically how you can run around, finish enemies with mark, and create a little pack of wolves and have some fun. And our basic clearing throughout the campaign until basically you get some like good gear. I'm in an end game right now, I got pretty okay gear, so right now I can just go and do this like left, right. But in campaign it's left, right, pounce, something like this. So left, right, pounce creates wolves, and we do left, right, pounce, left, right, pounce. Pounce boss have like 6 seconds cooldown. Actually it's 4, but it feels like 6. So you can't use it every now and then, but that's basically what you do when you're clearing. But what's about bosses? So when you fight bosses, this mark will actually increase damage taken by boss for every ally unit nearby. So if you approach boss with pack of wolves, you will instantly deal a little bit more damage while wolves is still alive. But most important part, we just need this mark. Because there is another skill that you will unlock soon. It's cross slash. So cross slash is next skill. And first of all, I was really worried how it will work, because if you read description, you will see that we leap backwards. In my experience with Path of Exile 2, if any skill will give you ability to leap backwards, it feels as awful as possibly can. It's just insanely awful. But look at the skill. Pooh! It's just cool. And you can combine it with like pooh, pow. It's just insane. It's just super cool and fun. But it's not only fun, it also will just obliterate bosses. It got pretty nice attack damage scaling. It got pretty nice area of effect, so it's like powerful. But here's the cool part. If you hit marked target, it will activate the mark. So technically, when you're fighting bosses with cross slash, when you use pounce and then you use cross slash, it will activate pounce mark and it will give you ability to summon wolf. Therefore you will deal more damage to boss because there will be wolf nearby. So that's basically how it works. But not only this. Also, it will take all ice fragments and it will pull towards the mark. So that's basically our boss combination. What we want to do? We want to find boss, we want to pounce, then we're trying to activate our freeze, and then we're activating our freeze. Now he is frozen. Now we do pow, 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 and then we cross slash. It will pull every little piece and we'll try to focus him down. And with full power, it's just complete obliteration, of course. And to pull this off, you need to understand timings. Our timing is pretty simple. So for ice fragments, if you check detonation time, it will be 2.5 seconds. Basically, when you start hitting the boss, you got 2.5 seconds to wait a little bit, and it will be based on your attack speed. You need to start feeling how much you can attack. For me, it's basically 2 full combinations. It's 1, 2. So that's like 2 full combinations. And after 2 full combinations, I'm doing this. Pow! And it just destroys boss instantly. Now, why it destroys boss instantly? Not because I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and then poo. It will damage boss, like really inflict insanely big hit. But look, I'm white right now, and that's because we're completely melting bosses. So technically, these 3 skills, actually 4 skills, because there's like basic attack, is our basic stuff. So that's our basic combination rotation, clearing with Lunar Assault, in early game combining it with Shred, but later we forget about Shred and we start using only Lunar Assault against basic monsters, and against bosses it's Lunar Assault, after using Pounce to apply Mark, then Shredding to get a little bit of icy fragments, and using Cross Slash to pull them towards target so they all instantly attack boss. Pretty cool, pretty powerful. But to increase damage of all of this stuff, we need other skills, and that's what the skills I'm using. So first one is Arctic Hull. I use it right before using Cross Slash. So basically, Arctic Hull is pretty cool stuff. You can use it while mapping. So you go, you try to freeze. If enemies is frozen, you cry, and you will empower your next attack. That's how it works. So if monsters are pretty powerful and you're having troubles, you just freeze a little bit of them. When they frozen, you cry, and then you pounce and destroy the screen. So that's how it works. Like little mapping combination rotation. But versus bosses, you want to use the skill right before Cross Slash. It will give you nice added cold damage. Also, you can use the skill to freeze enemies sooner. So if boss is primed for freeze, and this means he should be at 70% freeze build up, you can just use this stuff and it will freeze boss. You will lose bonus for extra damage, but again, it's pretty nice and useful. Probably we will even forget about the skill, since technically it gives us 40 additional cold damage, but even this, when it's multiplied by different damage amplificators, getting things done. So let's talk about supports for this combination. For pounds, I'm using Fist of War. It gives me ancestrally boosted attack and it will ancestrally boost slam. Therefore it will be a bigger area of effect. So pounds, again, will be our clearing skill mostly and will apply marks for bosses. 2-in-1 basically. Support gems on it is not that important. You can increase damage, but I decided to get rid of elemental ornament. And again, technically you can just drop elemental ornament on all your skills and it will work, but I decided to get rid of it and got mark for dash. So when enemies marked by this skill will have armor broken, and they will, because they will have this armor broken effect based on 10% of physical damage dealt. And if you check, right now my shred dealing like mostly elemental damage, but that's only right now. In endgame, when I already got pretty like elemental based talisman as my weapon, but in early game that was like mostly physical damage attack. And that's the idea. So basically throughout the leveling process, mark for dash will help you, because a lot of damage will be dealt actually with just basic shred, even without freezing enemies. You can finish bosses just by attacking him pretty fast. And last one, I added Eternal Mark. So marks can be consumed 2 times. It's pretty fun, so we can create a little bit of wolves versus boss by using pounds and then doing cross slash twice. Maybe when we're waiting for cooldown of freeze, because you can't freeze forever. So that's basically the idea. And for Arctic Hull, it's Raging Cry, it's Magnified Area, and last but not least, it's Echoing Cry. It makes this cry repeat itself a few times, and it's useful when you're just running around the map, so you can just press the button, basically run around, and start hitting enemies, and you will generate this like charged attack. Pretty useful, pretty powerful. So for clearing on maps, I basically cry, I hit, I jump, I hit, and basically rinse and repeat this pretty simple skill rotation. Oh yeah, and for support gems on cross slash, I'm basically using elemental ornament for more elemental damage, biting frost, we're not causing freeze build up, and after we use cross slash, boss should lose freeze anyway, so we consuming this freeze to deal more damage, and close combat for again more damage. It's pretty interesting combination. Consuming freeze right now in testing phase, maybe you can get rid of it, try to play with and without it. Maybe you'll find out that you like to make one combination, then cross slash, then maybe one more combination, then frost slash, and stuff like that. About buffs, by the way, I'm using Herald of Ice and Overwhelming Presence, so it will give me ability to freeze enemies a lot faster. Herald of Ice helps our clearing speed, but there's one more really important thing. It's 2 more skills that will transform your wolf into just shredding machine. So let's go into map. New Delirium looks awesome, by the way. It's really nice and playable right now. So what I want to show you is 1 more buff and 1 more skill. 1 more skill is Lunar Blessing. Its ultimate skill will be unlocked at level 13 towards the end game. And Savage Fury. This buff will be unlocked instantly right from the start of the game, but I recommend starting with Herald of Ice, with Overwhelming Presence, and then Savage Fury when you're ready. If you find some armor or amulet with extra spirit and you can equip all of this stuff earlier, you can do it. If you find extra spirit gems, you can actually also craft all this stuff and just deactivate Herald of Ice on bosses and activate Savage Fury. How it works? Fury will generate Fury when you attack, so you just make few attacks and you can generate up to 20 maximum Fury. At 20 Fury, you can unleash the buff and you will have 10 seconds of this buff. This buff will give you Onslaught, it's 20% skill speed and 10% movement speed, by the way, for 4 seconds, and 26% more damage. It will cause you to lose 3% of maximum life per second. In my experience, it's not a problem, you just pop this buff and then instantly pop the bottle, so drink your lotions and potions, petal. And then Lunar Blessing. It's our ultimate ability and it's just insane. You're becoming Moon Werewolf, basically Moon Baboon, and then you're gaining bonus cold damage for yourself and wolf minions. We don't care about millions, we care about ourselves. Yeah, we're so selfish werewolf right now, but it helps us destroy bosses really easily. So, most important part, it will spend all your rage. So we need a way to generate rage. More that in a second. If you're using 0 rage, it also will work, but buff duration is 5 seconds. With rage, it will be insane buff duration. So while buff is active, your werewolf attacks also cooldown moonbeams on hit. And what does it mean? Well, it does mean that every attack will be converted to cold damage, and conversion is 153% every second. So there's cooldown, but it's pretty powerful big attack. DPS is pretty big, so Moonbeam got higher DPS than any of our skills. And this creates really nice and powerful magic. So be aware, because activating Fury is instant, but this transformation to Moon Baboon is not instant. So you need to actually like be in pretty protected position. And when you're ready, you can finally unleash the Fury. And that's basically how it looks like. Moonbeams. So here's Moonbeams, they start to strike targets, and you just deal insane amount of extra damage. So you're insanely powerful. And now here's the question. Do you need all this like 7 or how much skills we have on the panel to actually level up and beat the game as Wolf Druid? No, you don't. You will be completely fine if you're using just basic Lunar Assault and Shred combination. You will be fine if you're using Pounce before doing this combination. And you can even play without Cross Slash. You can just attack with Shred and these projectiles will still hit target. But not all, not in a single time, and so on and so on. But we are at maps and we are ready to unleash. Almost died, but that's fine. Boom! So that's basically how it works. It's pretty crazy. You just join the maps and you instantly one-shot bosses. Without full combination, you will be able to defeat bosses pretty easily, but you need like 2 combinations. Maybe you will need to freeze him twice. So with my build right now, we need to freeze him just once. And that's like the power. And the power comes from smart passive skill tree. And it's not just smart, it's just super easy and straightforward. So basically it's attack damage, 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 damage. And that's kind of my approach to passive skill trees. When you're just leveling, try to move forward in your class tree and just get every damage node possible. And this actually works. So basically we're going over here, getting more damage as you can see, and critical hit chance, skill speed while shape shifted, very useful for Werewolf. When I approached here, I checked and I saw, oh, there's a little bit of damage, I took it. Now this armor, I ignored it, and only in the end game I'm starting to work on my armor. So before maps I'm investing 0 in defenses. Basically that's how I do this stuff. And right now there is no POB for this character. There will be, I will add it in the pinned comment, but for now it just does not work. So you can copy the basic skill tree by just taking a look on this screenshot and this screenshot, basically, if you just want to copy. But here, if you want to understand what's going on, we got increased attack damage and immobilization build up, and immobilization is stun, freeze, and we're doing both of these effects on our enemies, and in most cases my bosses were stunned, then frozen again, and so on and so on. It's just crazy. Also attack speed for every enemy in a close range, it's just a fun note, but it gives us 10 dexterity. It helps us to like equip green support gems, rapid attacks on every skill. I'm using no rapid attacks right now, but I used it in early game, so you can do it too, but it's pretty optional. You can just focus on damage and it will be fine. Now, I instantly took these notes, and it's just insane part, because it will give you ability to gain rage on melee hit. 3 rage on melee hit, we're dealing like 10 hits per second, and we always on maximum rage. Also, every 10 rage will grant 12% increased physical damage. So when we stack this rage, we will have increased physical damage, and physical damage will most likely be converted to cold damage with our skills. It's just super good. Now, after this Jewel, where we go? There's 2 options. One option is to go on top. It's pretty nice and fun and interesting place. And we're interested in technically like 4 branches over here. So the branch number 1, this one, will increase damage against immobilized enemies while shape shifted, and it's pretty big increase. So that's the damage that gives us insane amount of power against frozen enemies, and our main damage comes again when enemy is frozen. Also I like to take this extra damage as fire, pretty fun one. So same stuff over here, increased elemental damage and extra damage as lightning. Another interesting part is over here, we can have extra damage as fire damage, a little bit more. I'm still deciding about this part, but right now I will take it and see how it goes. We'll see how bad is igniting ourselves. because it's basically the part that will give us ability to self-ignite, but when we ignite it, we will increase our fire damage. So I want to see how much damage we inflict as fire, basically testing this stuff. And also this note over here will give cold damage while we shape-shift it, but this, in my opinion, is late gameish stuff, because there's loads of critical hit strikes, and we don't need critical strikes mostly when we're leveling. Also this note with a lot of elemental damage, and that's where I'm speccing right now. And right now, because while leveling, I was speccing over here. So I took this road closer to warrior. And what I took basically this attack speed, movement speed, nice for leveling, we're moving faster, we're attacking faster, pretty great. Also I took this area damage, it works on our skills, so it's pretty nice, powerful buff, but again, we don't need loads of area damage. Right now I respect into just pure damage. While leveling, I use this area damage, it's really useful to clear enemies a lot faster. Then this part gives us ability to have more damage against chilled enemies, more cold damage, we're dealing mostly cold damage, so it's pretty easy, straightforward and smart. Here is a little bit of physical damage, and here is rage on melee hit and maximum rage while shape shifted. I think it's really fun one. It's really fun and powerful part, because every rage technically gives you plus 1% more damage. So this note over here gives us plus 12% more damage. Multiplicative damage is just a beast in this game, and it's definitely nice to take. And last but not least, this increasement of damage and penetration. So penetration is what I took closer to end of Act 4, and in Interlude it definitely helped, because that's where you start to encounter loads of enemies. They are pretty powerful, and you will start to see that, well, our damage is not enough, we need to penetrate resistances, and this helps. Later, probably we will get rid of it when we respec into elemental damage, critical hit, elemental ignorant build. But for now, I'm cooking this build. I hope you're waiting, make sure to leave a like and comment for this video, and see you in the next ones.